Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA, and welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text, we tie them to an item from the Dollar Tree. This is for the narrative lectionary, and the text is from Acts, chapter 15. And I was struggling with this one about how do you do a children's sermon on this. And where I'm going with it, this is the springboard for it, is that being patient is hard. And it seems, I read this text and we have this sense, that God is up to something and God is using us. And when God uses us, sometimes things move slowly, but God is working and that there is action happening, but sometimes it doesn't happen as fast as we would like. I think I wouldn't use this in the children's sermon, but I recall an old Simpsons episode where Homer is at Moe's and Moe just got from Army surplus a old used flash fryer that can flash fry a buffalo in 30 seconds. And Homer says, "But I want it now." And this idea that even 30 seconds sometimes is too fast or too slow. But that's where I'm going with this idea that God is acting and God is working, but sometimes we're patient and we continue to press on and we continue to do the work, knowing that God is guiding us and that as we get there, we will see, we know that God is acting. And so the items, some of the items I'm thinking about using, one is a kitchen timer. I looked at the Dollar Tree, and the kitchen timers they had were the digital ones, and that can work, but it's not as effective. I want something that you can kind of see as it moves. That you've got the timer, and you go. It could be one of those egg timers that you twist and sit down, and you can hear it. That, or at the Dollar Tree, what they have in the education section and or the toy section, but for the one here in Oregon City, or actually Gladstone, has it's in the education section, but it's a hourglass timer that it's for a minute that you turn over, and it's a sand timer, an hourglass timer, so the visual that you can see it. If you have a beeswax Paschal candle that you've just changed at Easter, you can talk about how you can see that move down throughout the year, different as we move through, and that God is working with us through all of that time. That there are things that might happen fast, but there are still things that God is working on and moving us in this direction. I'm thinking about the church as we become more and more inclusive and welcoming as that circle gets expanded, that sometimes I wanted it to happen faster than it does, but that I see and I know that God is working and God is pushing us and God is pulling us as the circle gets expanded. But all of this has to do with God acting in the lesson and out of Acts, but how God acts and calls us to act for the grace and in the glory of God. So those visual reminders that God is working, that sometimes it's difficult, and I think it was my intern supervisor, Tom Dodd, who said, the church is like the Queen Mary. It turns slowly. That sometimes with this big boat as we're moving, God is moving us in a different direction or in the direction of grace and of welcome. But just like in the church in Acts, we ask these questions and they move us in that direction. So the items I'm using, either a kitchen timer, a hourglass timer, some type of visual thing, and that you can see. You could use the timer on your phone where you click it and because you can see it, but there's something about the audible and that or the Paschal candle. This idea of patience and being patient sometimes, at least for me, is really hard. A way to tap it into the kids' experience is talk about presents. You could have a present that's wrapped and that you're ready to open it. You want to open it, but you're supposed to wait. So different ways of looking at it. I hope this can be a springboard for your own thinking or in your children's sermon. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a blessed week.